Yeah, that doesn't really work out great. So we're going to be moving on to Daybreak, which actually has me pretty excited because one of the things I pointed out in both the Daybreak maps is that middle base, that seems to be kind of an issue, and you know, one that has actually caused Sheth to falter a few times. So will we see? I mean, his opening has been really good in both of the other games, but then as we get to that mid game and possibly as the Broodlords come out, that's where it can start to get a little bit shaky there for Sheth. So SaSe definitely seems to be a fan of this map as well. Curious to see exactly if we're going to see that improvement. Will it be this game here?
Now, at this point in time, you have to step into the psychology of someone who's training. I mean, it is a little bit annoying to lose on stream, and it can apply a little bit of pressure, but there's no permanent damage that's been done. Sheth hasn't been knocked out of a tournament. He still gets to play for the rest of the weekend. He still has 2 full days ahead of him, including that training tournament that's happening on Sunday.
Right.
So, you know, the worst mindset that Sheth can really be in is kind of to go, oh, man, that's a little bit frustrating. However, it's still important in that situation to be nice to yourself and to get into a comfortable frame of mind so that way you don't start self-sabotaging. He's choosing his best map. He is taking a little bit of a break to watch the replay. He knows this is his last game. He's not going to try to push it and play on Shakuras or something weird to really stretch himself to the limit. He needs to go back a little bit, and I'm almost glad he's playing against SaSe, the least experienced air player of all the Protosses at the LAN.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, allowing him to kind of continue to play a little bit, but SaSe also getting a little training of his own indirectly from having to go air. So an uncontested hatchery drop here by Sheth. I'm sure he'll be incredibly happy about that as his pool's about ready to complete, and that will mean that he'll get that third up rather quickly. Over on SaSe's side, we did see the Forge first, didn't go with that fast Nexus, but the Nexus is already down and starting to get established there for SaSe. You know, again, also the timing of the third in both the games versus JYP and Hasselhoff is really good. And Sheth did have some decent attacks on there. I like that concept of getting in there and trying to do some damage. But I think this might be the one, Sean.
You know, Spider Sense is going crazy, and I'm hoping it's not that sort of. I'm hoping it's not just indigestion, Marcus.
I hope not either. The cannon goes down as the Nexus is about ready to complete. Here's the drone, the race to get it, but it doesn't matter. The 4 Zerglings will help their little drone buddies. He turns into a hatchery, and we've now got the 3 desirable bases down for the Zerg player, Liquid Sheth. And, I mean, okay, the transferring of drones is going to start getting some additional queens to come out here as well. And going to take these Lings all the way over. Very typical of what we've seen him do in the previous games. And again, he is going to have a little opportunity to run in here, which he did versus Hasselhoff, but we will see the Cybernetics core go down, and he'll just lose 1 Ling in the process.
Very nice little juke there, managing to trap that probe against the Cybernetics core and bash his skull into the wall like a mobster. Sheth now continuing to drone up as we'd expect. And in the chat, Sheth was talking a little bit about getting the infestation pit a little bit earlier. He's been getting it at around 11 minutes, still somewhat fast when you compare it to the usual timing of around 14 minutes or so. I should say normal if you're going for big Roach Hydra Corruptor, as Liquid Ret likes to do. But Sheth is going to try to start backing it up to maybe 9:30 to 10 minutes, and he's going to start building those spine crawlers again at that key period of around 11:30, right after the Protoss is likely to have either taken his third or starting to get ready for a big 2-base push.
Now, the positioning here for SaSe is going to be a little bit different as he puts the Stargate inside his base over in this northeast corner. And the Overlord actually moving away from that, but you know, unlike like the last game, it's possible they may not scout it until that Overlord actually comes out. But I think that the attack that SaSe was going for in the last game would have actually been very effective, but that pylon got discovered from Sheth, which is a great skill in itself. And I've noticed these Lings going around and being very diligent about checking, But look at this. We have the Stalker and Zealot moving forward, possibly trying to get a little bit of a harassment done. And this Overlord is going to have to be careful.
Look at this. Brilliant timing by Sheth. I mean, in the games we saw, some of this early Zealot and Stalker harass seemed to be a problem. But look at that. Boom, popping out 10 links right when he needed to. SaSe does do some nice micromanagement. But despite that, will get driven backwards.
Yep, and, 10 lings in the process, too. If you could get a surround there, that'd be a great opportunity to have him lose that as well. And look at SaSe already. Pylon in the south, a pylon on the far east, and just like last time, there's those extra gates that making it 4. So we'll bring over the 1 Void Ray. The +1 will start. And for a guy that doesn't really open very much with Stargate openings, I got to say, he's got this one down pretty good, Sean. The warp gates are going to open, and this time I don't feel like the pylons are going to be lost. So the Zealots are going to come in with full force here with the Void Ray. We're going to see the potency of this pack that we were supposed to see in game number 1.
Sheth did manage to get the Roach Warren up in time, but then built a round of drones, and now he's going to have a whole bunch of Zealots swinging into his base. He's got to be very careful. This first round of 4, Sheth can run the drones and be in a reasonably good position, but he has to start building Roaches, which it looks like, he's been supply blocked. Another little bit of a flub by Liquid Sheth in his last game of the challenge, trying to put 1 win down. SaSe actually trying to track down everything. Nice little surround there. The full charge does come out on that Void Ray, and a disappointing last game. Really, really harsh way to end up being in this position after 4 losses.
Yeah, the Spore's going to finish, but then immediately go down. All of the shields gone from the Void Ray. The Zealots are still doing some damage as the Roaches finally come up here after that supply block. He may be able to clean those up, but what will he do? He's got to get rid of that Void Ray. And his second Queen does pop out. He is going to get rid of the Void Ray. He is going to clean up those Zealots. It leaves just the 1 Phoenix, but where does that put him economically?
Well, it looks like we do see SaSe is quite low on the food count. I mean, you do have to commit pretty hard to these kinds of attacks. I mean, if you go to the units lost tab, it looks like Sheth is a little bit higher than SaSe, but after these Zealots get cleaned up, it looks fairly even. In the drone count, it looks like Sheth has successfully managed to keep his drone count quite high. I think he's feeling pretty comfortable, but now it looks like he's getting the Hydra's Den Evo Chamber and the Infestation Pit. Again, the adjustment that he didn't end up doing in the previous games. He really should be rushing for that hive or delaying the hive by a long, long time.
And taking down those pylons, being very meticulous about making sure that he's not going to let any more Zealot reinforcements make his way into that 3rd. And the Phoenix is still coming out as he's going to go up to 4 once again. He's got +2 already on the way. Blink following behind that as well. And the Phoenix is not only going to probably snag this Queen, but more importantly, they do get a good view of all the tech inside the base. So there's nothing that can be hidden from SaSe. The Queen finally does fall down, and there's another sweet victory for the Air Protoss. This is going to throw down another Spore Crawler in the main because he continues to see these Phoenix pop out 2 more Queens as well.
Looks like SaSe is taking the 3rd base, making a lot of cannons. Also back in the main, we see that we have the Immortals, Colossus, Blink, +2 coming up. A little bit of, clunkiness from SaSe. I mean, well, clunkiness for SaSe is still unbelievably good, but the important thing to emphasize is SaSe is playing a little bit less cleanly when you compare him to JYP, who does this a lot, to Hasuabs, who does this a lot. But even so, he's managing to get away with his expansion because Sheth is trying to let him get away with that expansion. That way, Sheth can actually get these training that he needs. There's the pathogen gland starting to go down right now. The drone count is starting to swell up. And I think the one key piece Sheth is still missing is that creep spread.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, not only the spread of the creep in between the bases, which is very crucial, that ramp and slowing down can be bad. The Overlord continuing to get sniped from these Phoenixes across the map. And one thing that, okay, here we've got the gates now starting to go down. I mean, obviously the cannon wall here is great and everything, but just allowing your opponent to attack from that back area is never a good thing. So here we got the 4th base going down, just like you showed, and then also that scary middle 5th base. The quick hive again going to be right around the same time, starting that around 12:30, 12:50 as well. and is he going to be able to defend this? This is one of the areas that he's really had a hard time dealing with early on.
We talked about Sheth trying to get a faster infestation pit. There we go. Talking about trying to get the faster infestation pit, and even though it looks like he's getting it at the same time as the last game, you have to remember, SaSe committed hard to that attack and delayed Sheth, but SaSe also delayed himself. So relative to where we see SaSe at, this is still somewhat of a fast hive. The important thing to note is the hive is not the key piece that Sheth's trying to go for. It's the spine crawlers and infestors, trying to get that mixture up to deal with this big Colossus force with range that SaSe is going to have by 16 minutes.
And we do see those spine crawlers just coming out early. Not too many, but enough that he might be able to defend. So the middle base is now up. That also means that the southeast base is up. And when you look at this ground army compared to, say, what like Hasilovs and JYP had at this point, because they didn't commit to that early pressure, it was night and day. At this point, with the amount of festers and the ground units that Sheth has, with good positioning and some reasonably good fungals, that should certainly be able to thwart this army. Now, of course, the Colossus do pose a threat, but here we go, moving in. The Fungal's immediately going to go down. I'd love to see the Phoenixes move in here and do some damage in the back, but they are taken down quickly with very little damage, and a huge Fungal right there.
Oh, look, this is exactly what Sheth's been needing all along. He has 7 infestors ready to go with this first push. Suddenly, he is easily cleaning it up. He didn't have half the ground army he had in some of these previous engagements, but with the absurd number of infestors he got due to this fast infestation pit, he was able to hold on with relative ease.
Yeah, and I mean, when all of the units clumped up, I mean, I love SaSe's idea of going in from behind with those Phoenixes, pick up those infestors, something that we've seen here today. But unfortunately, the moment the infestors drop, his entire army was literally sitting on top of one Colossus, riding on the back, ready for victory, and that Fungal hit everything. The ground units were more than enough from Sheth to get that done. And it looks like, in this position now, he will be able to take this. And I'm not sure that SaSe is going to have much luck here with this base getting up. A couple force fields going to be baited out here. Another Colossus, and maybe I was wrong. Fungals come out. Roaches will continue their assault here, but I think he's got to move back a little bit. Let those spine crawlers do some fighting and absorbing of damage for you.
You know, it's funny. I think Sheth built all those roaches thinking to himself, gosh, I am in a really rough spot. I need to get these roaches up right now to stay alive, when in reality, he had his opponent doubled in the food count. And I think that that's a little bit of that fear starting to play in. I've lost 4 games in a row. I don't want to lose this 5th. Ooh, that attack maybe caught me off guard a little bit. And I think it's just discomfort with having more infestors and spines than he does units at this point. It's almost like he's using old Roach Hydra habits in this new Broodlord Infestor Rush style.
Now we're going to have another assault with the Colossus up front, trying to get rid of these spine crawlers. The Corruptors are out, and quite a few of them moving in here. There's a nice blink forward. The Fungals will go down. The rest of the army's going to move in. One of the Colossus will fall down, and there are still 2 left standing.
And it looks like the Corruptors are trying to go in for the kill on the Colossi, and they managed to get 2 of them. But at this point in time, Sheth currently has no more Corruptors, and it's literally just mid-game army versus mid-game army. Sheth starting to plummet again. That juncture from going Roach, Infestor, and Spine Crawler right up to when he gets Broodlords is the moment that Sheth is struggling with most.
Got a couple of infestors here with some good energy, but a lot of them actually very, very much depleted. A ton of Lings came out. The Corruptors are now starting to get remasked as well. And looks like Greater Spire is finished. It's getting +1 air. We got air carapace as well going down, and look at that, no attack on that southeast base, which means that Sheth is already 1 step ahead of where he was in some of the other games on Daybreak, and that is the fact that he's kept both of those expansions alive.
And here comes SaSe for another push. Broodlords finally starting to get increased in those numbers. Upgrades continue to be built from Sheth, not trying to forget his previous goal. He even talked about that with you in the interview. He wants to make sure he doesn't end up neglecting those upgrades. And SaSe, with all the pressure he was putting on, wasn't really able to get up any additional expansions. He does have the gateway count to sustain a pretty big army, but it's so big that he can't quite save up and expand and tech and do other things. So Sheth is now starting to get an increasingly good position. He's trying to get set up some counterattacks while he ends up building more Broodlords. He will be forced to cancel this hatch, but I really think still Sheth needs to be building drones at this point. He has 97 drones. I still think he should be building another 20 or so, and then building 10 spine crawlers and another 10 spine crawlers, staying ridiculously high on drones. Very important when you're trying to go spine crawler as part of your main army composition.
Right. And here we have this base going down. It was inevitable. Actually not canceled there. And you know, this base did get up for SaSe, but he is not yet reinforced, and I'm not sure. Uh-oh, I see a warp prism loading up here.
Great decision.
Yeah, I mean, especially to get some mobility. Here we've got a bunch of blings coming in. He's going to not only see and take out that Colossus, but he's also going to note the warp prism, and here comes attack from the other side.
Looks like a blink forward and an instant blink back. There goes the warp prism darting forward. A pylon is still close by, but still SaSe.
Warp prism number 2 inside the main.
Very nice play by SaSe, managing to hammer his way all the way to the back. He knows what's causing him to lose these games, that infestation pit. In the meantime, it looks like nice play again by SaSe, walling himself into that main base. And there's the target fire on the Greater Spire. Oh no, it looks like it's going to get killed off right before that key +2 ends up finishing, and there it ends up falling. The Broodlord's starting to pull back. The Corruptor's also going for the naked warp prism up at the top side. That Spire will fall. The Hive Tech goes down. Youch! These late game plays by SaSe, so unusual, but clearly so good.
Yeah, and you know what? Hey, we've got this attack down here on the southeast, and suddenly really mixing it up. There are quite a few of spine crawlers here, and I don't think that SaSe knows, but if he just goes behind the mineral line, he would be in a great position. The army is completely out of range to be able to do anything. Most of the Broodlords now returning from the main base who are trying to clean up those Zealots. And, okay, here we go. The 4 Stalkers now going to move into the back, and here come the Lings to try to defend against this. If you would have realized that sooner, it could have been incredibly damaging on Sheth. And here we go as they're going to pick up, and I think the Corruptors clean it up no problem.
Well, warp prisms are mighty fast when until their owner says, no, 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 stop right here, it's safe.
I'm good.
I'm good. It's great. And it looks like he got the chance to clean that up, finally getting his Spire back up again. Even though he tragically doesn't have Hive Tech, he can still continue to mass up Corruptors, which I honestly think is the key piece to being able to defend against those widespread attacks. And now it's time for Sheth to start playing a little bit more passively, to just sort of gently allow himself back into this game.
Yeah, I mean, he's in a position now where, again, he's got that army where... you mentioned it so many times, and it's just so right as those 2 Colossus having a vacation. The creep. You know, the creep is really a limiting factor at this point. The Archons are there. This will be interesting. I mean, the Fungals will play an incredibly big role in here.
No, and there's some very nice fungal growth there. Keep in mind, the one thing keeping the Broodlings out of the equation are these Colossi in the back, and once they fall, it's easy pickings on all these Stalkers at the front. We're going to see that Broodlord count soar up, Broodling count soar up through the roof, and it looks like Sheth is finally managing to break through. Oh, the crowd is so excited. Even if they're an enemy of Sheth, you've got to just pray that he can win one game on this losing streak.
And this is really a great position right now. SaSe down to 122 food to Sheth's 199. The Broodlords are in a great position. He's certainly going to get rid of this Nexus here, and a counterattack from SaSe maybe looking for that northern base, but it's actually not there. Now, the problem with what's happening here is that these Broodlords, which is a good amount of your population, are now basically so far out of the battle. So what is SaSe going to be able to get done? All those spine crawlers, they are not here at the natural ready to fight. There's only 4 here at the main. If he gets rid of these rocks, what can he do? This is going to kind of turn into a base race situation again.
Those vacation Colossi reveal themselves down at that south side expansion, but nice play. Those Corruptor count is just so high. And it looks like another counter by SaSe. Oh, is he going to lose Hive too? Oh my gosh, what story can you imagine when someone says, dude, I lost my 2nd Hive that game?
Oh my goodness, not good at all. It's trying to get in. He's got his units moving over, but it's not going to matter.
Brutal.
it does go down. However, let's look as Sheth is literally eating SaSe's base alive from the inside. All the tech starting to go down there. He loses Twilight Council, going to lose several of those gates. We've got unpowered robotics facility, and these stalkers are running away with their tails between their legs because they know that their attack, even though they did get a hive, is not going to allow him to win this game. And I do think that Sheth has finally done it.
Oh, Sheth, a little bit of bumpiness there, but is already clearly on that road to improvement. This is the army composition he wants. If I actually just go to the Sheth vision in StarCraft 2, look at that. He has that whole map covered. That's the way you want that game to look.
There you go. You're absolutely right. Now he's moving into a new position. He's going to get in a great spot to eliminate this third. If he gets rid of the fourth with the Corruptors, really wish they could attack down below. He's going to throw out a bunch of Infested Terrans. Good use. He kept a couple Fungals just in case. He's going to try to use these Infested Terrans to just siege this up. The Stalker count is dropping dramatically, Sean. At 114 health stands SaSe, and still Sheth strong at a solid 200.
Oh, it looks like Sheth is continuing to batter down the third, now one of the only two remaining mining bases. The other one is falling rapidly. SaSe is expanding in hostile territory as he tries to micro and pick off one of those Broodlords, doing so successfully. But unfortunately, he has 8 more on the map, and it looks like Sheth has not really taken any more expansions, just trying to calmly start spending some of that money that he's had stockpiled up. Hasn't gotten that hive back up yet. Now he's on hive number 3, located at the third base. Every base is going to have the point musical hive identity.
Meanwhile, the last mining base of SaSe does fall, and then
Good game.
GG.
Looks like Sheth manages to successfully knock down a final win to close out the series 1-4, as he did manage to valiantly take on his challenge of going for the anti-PVZ air style.
Yeah, you know what? And he did it after getting assaulted very early with that Void Ray Zealot. It looked like he was, like, oh my gosh, 0-5. Like, we can't let this happen. And, he did it. And that was not only being able to overcome that early aggression, but then also putting together that composition, just like you said. He held those bases much better. His spine crawlers came out much earlier.
Oh, yeah.
And, overall, like, that looked like what he was trying to do in every single one of those games.
I mean, you even heard just that bone-crushing disappointment I had in my voice when I saw the Void Ray Zealot pop up at the start. I'm so glad you brought that up again, because I remember that moment where I was like, oh, this would be the worst way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just that. It stings my soul. A little bit of me would die, and I'd go home weeping. But, Sheth really demonstrates, as long as you don't lose the drones, you can be run all over willy-nilly, and you're fine, really. Fine. And then pulling back through, holding off that mid-game push with the Infestors, very slick, very nice. That means Sheth is 1-4 in his challenge, and that wraps it up. And I'm so excited that it was the final game he won, because he shows where he's going to be heading as he practices more tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot agree with you more. And he stuck to his game plan. He didn't go, oh, well, that didn't work in that game, so let me just try something drastically different. Yeah. Little tiny changes were just enough to be effective in those situations, and he pulls out a big old W. So another round of applause for Sheth. How about that?
So, of course, as promised, we're going to be doing an interview with Sheth about his challenge right after this. So whatever you do, don't go anywhere. An interview with Liquid Sheth, followed by Thorzane and his challenge. I'm Day 9.
And I'm DJ Wheat. Don't go away. More action from the Red Bull LAN Orlando coming at you.